bro, the original bro, Matt Riddle, sat down with Ariel Helwani on the MMA Hour this week. It's been a while since Ariel's had somebody on the MMA Hour, like a wrestler. Good conversation that I can get into on there. But he was catching up with Matt Riddle about all the going-ons in Matt Riddle's life since he's left the WWE. You know, his work in New Japan he's been doing. He's also working with MLW, collecting titles around along the way as he shows up to the interview with 2 different championship belts he throws on the table. And they had a really good conversation, and they talked all about that kind of stuff. But then they got into, you know, the reasons for the suspensions and the things that may have led to the release of Matt Riddle. And Matt really doesn't hold back here. He gets into some details about his drug use and his inability to just not be on drugs, which hurt him in the UFC too. But he believes that this is what ultimately led to his release for the WWE. Check out this clip.
You mentioned Rehab. Mm-hmm. It happened in late 2022, going to 2023, and I think people thought you'd be gone for 30 days, but then it came out that it was your second offense, right? And so your suspension was longer, correct?
Well, no. Well, I had 2 offenses, and
but one didn't come out. The original wasn't known.
What's that?
The original offense, was it not public? Did people not know?
No, they didn't make any of the offenses public. I think they just wanted to keep it on the hush-hush, which I completely understand,
yeah, sure.
You know? And they punished me. Like, I got fined. And then,
can I ask what it was for?
What?
The offense.
Well, I feel, well, you're allowed to smoke weed. I went to the strip club and did some cocaine a couple times, okay. And I failed a drug test for that.
That was the first one.
That was the first one. That was for all of them. It was cocaine each time. But it was honestly just random nights. And the first drug test I took, the WWE tests you randomly, say, any week. But sometimes you get tested, say, at the end of 1 month and the beginning of another month. So there was 1 week where I failed bang, bang, didn't know I failed the second one. And by the time I found out I failed the first one, I got 2 right at once. So I think that's why they were a little more lenient with it, because like, hey, we tested you back to back, you failed both those tests.
Okay.
And I was like, okay. And I go, hey guys, I want to show you, no more problems. Hey, you guys can test me for the next 10 weeks every week, whatever. And I did that, and I was fine. Didn't fail 1 test, whatever, didn't do anything. But I thought I was in the clear, went out and partied a little bit, and they gave me a random test at my house, and I failed that. And shortly after that, they had me go to rehab.
Okay, so that's their decision? Like, they could say to you, we want you to go?
Well, I would say with them, it's they can't make you do anything, right? But at the same time, it's like, you know. And then I got out. And then I was just waiting, and this is like a month before WrestleMania, and they're like, oh, we don't have anything for you. Maybe Raw after Mania. And I'm like, dude, they're going to fire me.
So I'm certainly not one to criticize anybody's drug use. I've been around the block a few times. I don't mind a little pick-me-up or let me down once in a while. But when you're at that level and you're making that kind of money, I don't know that I would make those choices over big fat paychecks and fame. You can always do that later, right? You can always wait till your contract's up. Like, he even said in the interview that he had the contract that he signed was escalating so that he was set to make $1 million that year, and he believes that's obviously the other reason why. Kind of looked at him just being a general shithead and druggy and his suspensions and stuff. And then also going, hey, we got to make some cuts here. Where can we make some cuts? His storyline, his character was cooling down. Probably not going to be worth $1 million. But I would say, you know, if you're making upwards of $500,000, many hundreds of thousands of dollars, up towards $500,000 to $1 million, $750,000, maybe you don't need that bump of coke, right? Like, hey, I love a little coke, you know, coke's fine. I'm not knocking it. If you're going to do coke, that's fine. Do a little coke. But if it's going to impede on you making $1 million next year, you know, that $1 million buy you a whole lot of coke once you retire, you know? Like, you can wait until you're able to do that, you know. So this was the same issue he ran into in the UFC. Matt Riddle was not cut from the UFC for sucking at UFC. I think I've seen that many times. Like, oh, he couldn't make it in the UFC because he's, you know, wasn't really that. No, Matt Riddle was like undefeated. Matt Riddle was a beast. He was not undefeated, but he was on an undefeated streak, like a 4-win streak before he got caught. Like, he's an animal. He is an animal. He's a killer. He's still a killer. He said he's just trying to get his black belt in something or whatever. He just qualified for that. He's a beast. But Dana White called him a fucking idiot. Said he couldn't stop smoking weed. That's all he cared about, was getting fucking high. Couldn't stop getting high for a huge UFC contract, you know. And if he wasn't going to, you know, I don't know what he was making at the time. He wasn't a huge megastar, but on a 4-win streak, fuck, man, you're looking at a title shot at some point, not too long after that, you know, within the next couple fights, you wiggle your way into a title shot. That's going to make you significant money, if not just in the bonuses itself, you know. He really fucked himself out of millions throughout his career just by being a druggie. And I don't want to use the word junkie because he doesn't sound like an addict or anything. He sounds like a partier, you know. He's just bruh. And he's a weed smoking fucking hippie, good time loving fucking, you know what I mean? Like, he's dating a porn star or dating somebody in the porn industry. Like, this is Matt Riddle. He's not unlike RVD in that way. RVD's got the what? He's got a wife in porn, doesn't he? Or his girl's in porn. He's always talking about like weird orgy type stuff, and he's smoking all his weed on camera and shit all the time. And it's like, I don't mind any of that. Like I said, I'm for it. Do you? But I think if it's gonna get in the way of you making millions, it's kind of fucking stupid. Like, hold off on it. And they would do things with Riddle, like he said, like they tested him, and then they tested him again. Like they tested him at the end of one month, and then at the beginning of the next. So it's like a back-to-back. So he's like, just pop. And he said, like, even like Rehab, you know, like he had fun there, but didn't want to stay as long as they wanted him to stay. I think a personality like that is better meant to be on the indies, which he is. Like, now he can just do whatever the fuck he wants. You can still make great money. I guarantee Riddle's booking fee it's nice. It's a nice booking fee, you know.
Very nice.
And he gets work regularly. He says he works a few times a week, but he can take a week off if he wants to, that sort of thing. I think maybe the indies are set up better for a guy like Matt Riddle for his lifestyle type. You know, he wants to go out and have fun too, and he can do that because I guarantee MLW is not going to worry about if he's doing coke and shit like that. New Japan, not going to care if he's doing coke on the side. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, sometimes you do a little bit of coke. It's fine. Don't worry about it. But when you're with those big companies, ultimately they're the ones, they got to keep, you know, because WWE, like, they don't just do it to be dicks either. You know, they're in that spotlight. They're scrutinized. If he died of a cocaine overdose, they're going to go, why weren't you looking out for this man that works for you? I don't know, but he's got that history of it, like I said, with UFC and everything too. I don't know. Has not shut the door on going back to the WWE. In fact, he has hopes to maybe, you know, pick up and continue a storyline with Randy Orton. He talked about that in this interview, by the way. He talked about where that storyline was potentially going. As a matter of fact, let's play that clip right now.
Well, we never got to see the conclusion of the RKBro story, right?
No, we have not seen the conclusion.
Oh, we have not. So you say that in present tense.
Well, I look at it like
you never know, right?
You never
Punk
know.
Came back.
You know, Punk came back. Other people have come back. And I also say this: I'll never say a bad thing about WWE.
How was the story? There was always a thought that he was going to turn on you, right?
Oh, with Randy?
Yeah.
Well, there's a couple ideas. I would say the first one that was pitched was eventually Randy turns on you, you know, you guys have a feud, whatever. That was originally what was supposed to happen when we first started teaming. There you go. Hey, we'll have Riddle beat you, like a quick one, and then we'll have you team up, and then Randy will turn on you after you guys lose a match, RKO you, punt you or whatever, set up for a match at Backlash, because it was WrestleMania Backlash. And we wrestled, we tagged, and we just hit it off, and the crowd was really behind us. And for some reason, whenever I join random tag teams, that seems to be a thing. I don't know if it's my personality or my teammates, but me and Pete Dunne did it, me and Randy did it. But then once we started teaming up, we just kept it going. But the original plan was for him to turn on me. But then when we got to the end of it, and this was my suggestion, and talking to everybody in the office, and even Randy, and Randy agreed, was the smarter idea would be probably if I turned on him. Because Randy being a legend that he is, and if me just being a babyface, even though if Randy turned on me, he's a bad guy thing, he's a legend. He's Randy. He's done more pay-per-views, more Raws, more this. He's done more than like everybody. Everybody, like, even if you boo him, you like love to boo him, right? So I'm like, guys, like me trying to get like sympathy when Randy's beating me up isn't going to work. They're just going to cheer Randy beating me up. Now, if I attack Randy when you guys aren't expecting it, and I hurt Randy, and I take him away, the crowd's going to be really mad at me, and I'm going to get like nuclear heat. And we have good chemistry, and the story will play out as it shall. Not win or lose. I had no idea with that. But those were the two ideas. Granted, those are like the only two options.
Sure. I never even considered the other idea, which I like way better.
Riddle's a very talented person. I think I would love to see him back in WWE. I would love to see him working with Randy Orton again. And then one of them turn on the other, or at least have some kind of match or something. I think Matt Riddle is underrated as a talent. I think a lot of people don't like him because he's annoying. He rubs people the wrong way. He talks about, he does that in real life too, by the way. Like when people meet him, they tend to not like him right away, but he grows on them after a while. Because I think he's a good dude. He's just he's a bit much sometimes, a little bit of a party dude, right? And Matt Riddle was a party dude, Teenage Mutant. Yeah, so that's him. Is what it is. I'll leave it there. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Would you have been excited to see that angle with Randy Orton? Do you think wrestlers should be able to just do coke and shit? Who cares, right? Fuck it. Or do you think that if you're going to be at that high level of an athlete, you should be, adhering to a strict rules and policies, drug policies as well? Let me know all that down in the comments below. Your thoughts on Matt Riddle. Do you like him? Do you hate him? Anything at all, really. Do you like a good bump of coke once in a while? Let's talk about some coke. Let's do some coke in the comments below. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next bro.
Let me tell you something, brother. You can check out full episodes each and every Sunday right here on this channel, dude. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to take your vitamins and say your prayers, brother.